Hello there, my name's Brandon and I make pictures out of tiny squares. And just last month was actually the 10-year anniversary of when I started first making pixel art. Which I've always known that exact date because I happened to put out this post at that time, and this is a sprite of the Hulk that was my first attempt at pixel art from 2015. 5 years after that, in 2020, I had recently started this YouTube channel, and I decided to remake that sprite to celebrate that 5-year anniversary at that time. Now, regular viewers of the channel may also be familiar with my yearly tradition of redrawing Luke Skywalker as a way of charting skill and style changes over the years. And so I'd like to kind of continue that idea of that redraw tradition into this Hulk sprite as this sort of every 5 years kind of thing. So I'm going to make a new one today, and we'll get to see what that total 10-year progression looks like. So to get started, I've placed down these shapes to block out the different parts of the body. And this is going to be our stick figure skeleton that we can use as a template to figure out how to connect up the overall silhouette of the sprite. Stylistically, what I want to do for this sprite is to give it the cartoony quality of an NES sprite like Mega Man, because that was actually the basis for what that original Hulk sprite was. It was literally just an edit of the Mega Man sprites that I kind of kept expanding out and making it larger to fit the Hulk. I made a whole video about that, about how I learned a lot of these pixel art fundamentals just by experimenting and continually making sprites in that Mega Man framework. And then slowly what happened is I kind of broke out of that and found my own preferences and my own confidence in creating characters that are evocative of styles like that, but that have my own point of view brought into them. Another important period in my time making pixel art has actually been the period that we're in now that I'm working on a game. And very intentionally, the visuals for Pedal Runner are being crafted in what I feel like is my exact comfort zone as a pixel artist, which is to work with low resolutions, limited color palettes, and sort of punchy, vibrant colors. And because I've had my head in crafting this game for the last few years, it's really just reinforced how much I love working in this kind of stylization. So for the new Hulk sprite, I'm not going to try to flex and do like a sprite that's super detailed and uses tons of colors just to make a point of like, oh, look how much better I am than 10 years ago. Look at the difference, right? I feel like by now I know what I like and what brings me the most joy to make. And I think that always shows through in the work if, you can tell that you're doing something that you're genuinely excited about, whatever form that might take for you personally. And for me, that is, to make these like low res outlined cartoony styles. So in filling out the color here, I'm going to keep it simple with a solid skin tone that has one shade color in it. And for the exact green that I'm using here, this time I'm going to push it into more of a limey sort of green. And I think that'll work out well to set this one apart from the other two. And it's kind of like where I'm at for green right now. I'm always flip-flopping on like what my, preference is. Green seems to be the one color that is never consistent for me. So we'll try the lime this time. I think it's a good look. Then to finish the rendering, I'll pop in just kind of a minimum amount of other colors that are necessary, like the pants and some features for the face. I liked in the 2021 how he's got the visible teeth and the tongue, so I wanted to carry that idea forward into this one as well. This time around, I've given him some messy hair, and I popped a dark green into that as the highlight for that, and then I kind of reused that color around some of the outline to soften the corners of the outline. Now, another feature of the 2020 sprite is that it was animated. So we're going to prep an animation this time as well. And this time, I really want to pay attention to the pacing of the animation. Again, after working on a game, I've begun to appreciate the efficiency of minimizing animations to whatever number of frames is necessary just to get the point across. And it's often the case that when things are snappier, it yields a nice response in-game. So at a minimum, we know that we need the regular Bruce Banner sprite, which I've gone ahead and prepped already. He's a little vacant in the eyes, but that's all right. I think it'll still work for the exercise. Now, clearly, if all we have is just these two frames alone, it doesn't really make for a particularly interesting transformation. It's kind of too instant to really feel what's happening here. So what can we do? Well, maybe we can try one frame between these two where he's partially transformed. The skin color is halfway to green on this one, and I've done this sort of elongated pose so he's actually kind of like stepping and popping up to then come down into the final form. So if we play those 3 frames together, it looks like this. And honestly, even just from that, you can kind of feel that this is getting kind of close to being a really snappy and responsive transformation. I think it still needs an extra frame of posture on either side of that. So on the front half, we'll add a frame in where he drops his head into his hands. And then on the other side of the midway point, we'll introduce a frame where it's like the same sprite as the final form, but it's just squished lower to the ground. So it'll feel like there's more of an impact from that stomp, that he's actually like squishing down into the ground with the stomp. From here, I want to have him hold on that final form for a bit, just so we can kind of soak it in or whatever. And I was thinking, just to give some energy to it, it'd be cool to try this effect where there's like a few single pixels floating up from the ground, kind of like as these energy particles or something. I don't really know what I'm referencing here. Would that sort of be like a Dragon Ball Z thing? It feels kind of anime, you know? But I'm hoping it'll be a cool look for this. So let's toss that in and bring it all together. Let's see that. All right, the last thing I did here was to hold on these initial sprites just a little longer, just so there's a slight anticipation of him being like taken over by the Hulk form. And then similarly, on the other end, when he stays in that final pose, I've actually created 3 variants of the head where there's like slightly different hair to actually just give a bit of life to that. And of course, we'll bring them all together for that final comparison. Actually, when I see the 2015 one now, it just makes me want to cry in a way, if I'm being honest. It's not in a way that's like, oh my god, look how bad it is. I'm crying from how bad it is. It's really like out of joy for the person who made this, who just discovered this. It's like you just opened a door to something that's going to be amazing for you. And trust me, if you stick with it, you're going to have a great time with that. And I think really that should be the takeaway of this, is just like, if you're also somebody who just started art and you're watching this video or anything, and you enjoy it and it's positive and it's something you can obsess about in a good way, just stick with it. And it's just such a great thing to have. So thank you for joining me to celebrate this milestone. And we'll close out with some CRT time. So thank you for watching, and take care and keep it square.